Alright, on this lesson we're going to do the quadratic formula. Sometimes when you have to factor some equations, the quadratic formula comes in quite handy because you don't always get answers that are easy to come by when you do the traditional factoring. The nice thing about the quadratic though is you can also use it on the simpler ones if you like the quadratic formula. Alright, so the first thing to remember what the quadratic formula is. Once you've done it a few times, it'll kind of stick in your head. Becomes a lot easier to use. And then once you've used it a few times, it also is easier to do. At first, you feel like there's just so much going on. Alright, so remember, your A, B, and C is when you have your formulas, your equations in standard form. This is our A term, B term, C term. So in this case our A is 8, our B is 2, and our C is -1. Alright, so we're just going to plug it in. So we do minus B plus or minus B squared, take away 4 times A and C. So A is 8, C is -1, so that'd be -8. And then all over 2 times A, so that would be 16 for our bottom. Alright, so let's simplify it a little bit more. We have 4 take away -32. 4 take away -32. So then we would have positive 36, still all over 16. And then we know that the square root of 36 is 6. So we have -2 plus or minus 6 all over 16. So that means we can have two different answers. We can have -2 plus 6 over 16 or -2 minus 6 over 16. I shouldn't say or, I should say and. So this one would be 4 over 16, which is 1/4. And then this one would be -8 over 16, which is -1/2. So our answers are 1/4 and -1/2. Alright, so just remember the plus and minus thing will give you two different answers. And let's do another one. So 2x squared equals 4x plus 1. So first thing we need to do is put this in standard form. Bring this over, bring that over. So there's our standard form so that we can have our A, B, and C. Our A is 2, B is -4, our C is -1. Alright, so -b, so negative b would be a positive, plus or minus b squared, so -4 times -4, minus 4 times a times c, so 2 times -1 is -2, all over 2 times a, which I'm going to go ahead and do that, is 4. 2 times 2. Simplify it more. So 16 take away -8 is what I get underneath the radical. So that is 24 all over 4 still. And the square root of 24 can be broken down more. You want to try to break it down into perfect squares so that you can at least take out as much as you can. So if I break, let me go ahead and put this in here so you can see it. So I kind of just broke up 24 so that it had a perfect square. If I take the square of this, that's a 2, and then I'm left with a 6 on the inside, and all over 4. Now this one can be simplified more. we can, it's kind of written like this. So you can split it up so that you can simplify it even more. Well, this is 1, and we still have plus or minus, and then 2 goes in there twice. So that is an answer. If you don't simplify it, for example, let's say we're going from here and we don't split it up. When we divide 4 into the terms, we have to divide the same thing into both terms. So I can put 4 into 4, but I can't put 4 into 2. So the most that I can take out of both of them is 2. So we kind of can think of it as like 2 times 2. So 2 goes into 4 twice, leaving a 2 at the bottom, and then 2 goes into 2 once. So both of these are correct answers. One simplified more than the other. Now if you put this as an answer, it's probably going to tell you that you have the correct form, it's just not reduced enough. If you do that on a test, I pay attention to what you guys put, so you'll get some points for not going far enough. Alright, let me do another one. Trying to find another question. Let's do 3x squared plus 2 equals negative 4x. Alright, so first thing is to put it into standard form, which is descending exponents. So our a is 3, our b is 4, our c is 2. So negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4a times c all over 2 times a. I'm going to simplify this. So we have 16 take away 24, so that is negative 8 over 6. Alright, so don't forget that when you have a negative number that is under the radical, that means that we have an imaginary number. So we can kind of write this like so. And actually, I'm going to even break that down more. So we have 4 times 2 times negative 1. So for my next step, I can bring the 4 out. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 2 has to stay underneath. And then remember, the square root of negative 1 is I. So I took care of this, I took care of this, this guy's the only one that couldn't been taken care of, and then we're all over 6. So we can kind of separate these again to simplify them. I can reduce this down, so that reduces to 2/3, and this goes to 1/3. And sometimes you'll see it written like this too, so both of those forms are correct. Depending on what book you learn, it doesn't matter where the I really goes. So this is your final answer. So we have 2 answers again, negative 2/3 plus I radical 2 over 3, or negative 2/3 minus I radical 2/3 over 3. And let's see, I'll try one more if I can find one more. 3x squared plus 5 equals negative 6x. So I need it in the standard form first. Alright, so negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times ac all over 2 times a. Simplify that even more. We're left with 36 take away 60, which is negative 24 all over 6. Remember, we can write 24 as a perfect square and that negative in there. So the 4 can come out and become a 2. The 6 needs to stay. The negative 1 becomes an I, and we're still all over 6. And always check to make sure this is reduced down as it can be, because sometimes if you don't reduce enough, then it actually will make your answer wrong. So we can split these up to reduce them even more. So this is negative 1, and this is plus or minus, and this will be I square root of 6 over 3. So again, 2 answers, one with the plus, one with the minus. Alright, if you have any questions, let me know.